This story took place in 2004 in the state of New Jersey, USA. Britney Gregory was born on April 1, 1988, and was the youngest of 5 children in her family. As a result of her parents' divorce, she was left to live with her father, but maintained a close relationship with all her siblings, especially her sister Brianna, who was 4 years older than her. In school, Britney proved to be an excellent student, and teachers speculated that she could have become a scholar. However, she would become a forensic scientist and study crime scene evidence. In April, the girl celebrated her 16th birthday. She was enamored with the queen of pop music Britney Spears and hung posters of her in her bedroom. The young girl liked TV programs about the profession of a forensic scientist, which she wanted to become. She and her mother used to turn on the same shows at the same time and then call each other to talk about them while watching. In 2004, young Britney and her older sister Brianna, who was 20 years old, were living with their father Jordan and his new girlfriend Lori Peterson. They lived in a small house near their school. Britney's father's house was the last one on that street and was next to a wooded area. At that time, Britney had been dating 18-year-old John Fitzgerald for almost 2 years. He was a nice guy that Britney's family approved of. They had a very warm relationship and were considered an ideal couple. On Sunday, July 11, 2004, Britney's mother and sister Brianna went to visit her older brother and his wife, who had recently given birth to a daughter. That same evening, Britney called her mother on her cell phone and asked for a ride to her boyfriend John's house. The girl's voice was very upset, which indicated possible trouble. The mother explained that she was out of town and couldn't let her down, but said that her sister Brianna could be there in about an hour. Britney agreed and said that she would be waiting for her. About 45 minutes later, Brianna was free and decided to tell her sister, but she did not answer the call. Brianna thought Britney was sleeping or someone else had taken her to John. When Brianna returned home in the morning, she discovered that Britney was not there, but her things, including her phone, were still there. Brianna suggested that her sister might have spent the night at her boyfriend's house, but she found it strange that the girl didn't tell anyone about it and that she left her cell phone at home. Brianna started calling all of Britney's friends to see if anyone had seen her, but no one knew anything. After unsuccessful attempts to contact her sister, Brianna decided to call John. He said he last spoke to Britney on the phone on Sunday morning and they haven't seen or spoken since. A friend of her father's who lived with them reported that she returned home around 10 p.m. on Sunday and Britney was not home. Brianna immediately went to the police station to report Britney missing. At first, police didn't take Brianna's concerns about her sister's disappearance seriously. It seemed to them that the girl simply ran away from home or was spending time with friends. But Brianna convinced the police that she had already called all of her sister's friends and talked to her boyfriend. The older sister was sure that the girl could not run away from home because she was an excellent student, obsessed with studying, and spent most of her time in the library. Moreover, Britney never left the house without warning, and all her things, money and phone, remained at home. After Brianna convinced police that her sister could not have escaped the house on her own, police began a search. First, they went to the house where Britney lived to look around her room and try to find any evidence. They also checked Britney's purse with her phone, ID, and cosmetics, which were left in her room. They interviewed everyone who lived in this house and ruled out the possibility that anyone close to Britney was involved in her disappearance. After this, the police began to search the area adjacent to the house. They checked all the houses in the area, walked around the area, and talked to neighbors. They were looking for witnesses who might have seen or heard something. The police noticed that the house was at the end of the street, and across the road there was a wooded area. None of the neighbors noticed anything suspicious except for one woman who said she saw Britney walking down the street toward her house late Friday night. It was 2 days before Britney disappeared that investigators turned their attention to her. What made Britney leave the house so late? During a conversation with police, Brianna said that Britney and her boyfriend John had recently been in a tense relationship. This couple often quarreled, and on the day of her disappearance, Britney and John quarreled again. This upset the girl very much. That same evening, she wanted to visit John to make peace with him. Investigators decided to take a closer look at John's identity. They invited him to the police station to find out if he had seen Britney on the day she disappeared. John said his last phone conversation with his girlfriend was on Sunday morning while he was at the beach with friends, and Britney was upset that he went there without her. They quarreled over this and have not spoken since then. He also said that he broke up with Britney a few days ago, but she couldn't come to terms with it. John claimed that he had no plans to meet Britney that evening and did not know that she was coming to see him. The reason for their breakup was rumors that Britney kissed another guy at a party, although John himself did not see this. It was because of this that he decided to break up with her and started dating another girl. The last time he saw Britney was July 10th, the day before she disappeared, and when she gave him a letter expressing her desire to reconcile. The detectives asked John for permission to look at the letter written by Britney, and he gave it to them. In this letter, the girl apologized for her behavior and for breaking John's heart. She also asked him to remain friends. John seemed genuinely concerned that Britney had still not been found. The police had no evidence linking John to the girl's disappearance, and after he successfully passed a detector test, he was removed from the list of suspects. However, John still told the detectives one important detail. He said that Britney often came to his house through the forest. The story of the disappearance of the young girl became more and more confusing. Detectives began to wonder if she had been trying to sneak through the woods that night to John's house, which was about a mile from her father's house. It was already dark, and she could get lost or fall somewhere along the way. The police began a search in the woods through which Britney probably passed. Being alone in the forest at night was scary and dangerous. The search in the forest continued for 3 days, but nothing was found. When it seemed like the investigation was going nowhere, a woman who had been with her brother in a park in the same area on the night of Britney's disappearance contacted police. It was quiet and deserted here, and there were no cars visible except for one. A Chevrolet pickup truck drove by. The woman noticed this car and even remembered its license plate. Investigators determined that the vehicle was registered in the name of 23-year-old Anthony Geiger. To determine his connection to this event, police found out that he was the ex-boyfriend of Britney's sister. Bobby Joe's sister told detectives they broke up about a month ago because Anthony was paying too much attention to Britney. She also said that she began to suspect that Anthony, who was 23, had feelings for her younger sister and eventually decided to end the relationship with him completely. Britney's friends also remembered that Anthony always looked at her strangely and tried to flirt with her. Detectives began to suspect Anthony of kidnapping Britney and decided to bring him in for questioning. During questioning, Anthony denied being in the area on the evening of July 11th. He did not deny that he was on good terms with her and often saw Britney at parties and other places, but maintained that they were just friends and that he did not flirt with her. Anthony also stated that he understood that the girl was too young for him and that he only cared about her as a friend. According to Anthony's testimony, he spent the evening of July 11th at home with his new girlfriend. Although this girl confirmed Anthony's alibi, investigators still considered him a suspect because his home was close to where Britney lived. Investigators returned to examining the letter Britney wrote to John, and they noticed disturbing signs that she was saying goodbye to her loved one. They began to fear that the girl might harm herself after breaking up with her boyfriend. However, Britney's parents rejected this version, believing that their daughter is smart and determined, and she will not give up her grandiose plans because of a breakup with her boyfriend. They thought Britney was too in love with life. After the investigation stalled again, police decided to reach out to the public through the media to find possible witnesses. In addition, police officers from other areas joined the investigation to provide assistance. Britney's parents also decided to take an active part in the search because they were tired of doing nothing and waiting. They decided it was time to act and began going door to door and asking neighbors, but nothing came of it. The police decided to return to where it all began, to the house where Britney lived. So, the detectives reasoned even if the girl had decided to take a walk through the woods to meet her boyfriend, it was unclear why she would have left her phone in the room at home. Could someone have kidnapped her right from her home? If so, did she know this person? Did she trust him? During another thorough search of the house, police discovered something important in Britney's room, namely her personal diary, which contained a handwritten letter. The contents of this letter were of great importance to the police. In the letter, Britney described her life, her relationships with friends and boyfriend, her school education, and also focused on her family. In particular, she wrote that she comes from a dysfunctional family and that every Sunday she visits her older brother who is in prison, that her mother could not cope with her addiction and who abandoned her when she was 9 years old, and that now she has to live with her father, with whom she is not very close and also not close with his girlfriend. She wrote that she is not perfect and that she had to do things that she is not proud of, but she does not want to be like her parents and wants to succeed in life. She wants to become a forensic scientist and help solve crimes. After reading this letter, the police expanded their pool of suspects and turned their attention to Britney's family, whose members had not previously been considered as potential suspects. Detectives began checking each member of Britney's family and discovered that a men's massage parlor was operating in the house where she lived. Lori Peterson, a friend of Britney's father, serviced different men every day, but all the neighbors knew that she not only gave massages, but also provided intimate services for money. It turned out that many people knew about this, and Lori herself did not hide it, handing out her business cards throughout the area. Various men came to them to take advantage of Lori's services, and most of whom she did not know. It was quite possible that one of her clients kidnapped Britney from the house. More than 100 police officers began working to identify everyone who had been in Jordan's home over the past month, and it was a very difficult task. When a photograph of the suspect was shown on television, Britney's mother, Deborah, recognized him. In fact, Fuller was a real criminal. He constantly threatened his neighbors. According to court records and interviews, he broke into cars and houses as well as garden sheds, fought with the police, and drove drunk. He served time in prison for theft. It all started with a call to the police station. The caller said that he had spoken with Jack a few days earlier. Jack complained to him about back pain that arose after he buried the girl's body in sandy soil. The police invited the informant to the station and asked him to wear a listening device in order to meet with Jack Fuller. The informant agreed, and at the meeting, Fuller told him that he had buried the girl's body in a remote location. Additionally, Fuller stated that he needed to kill someone else who knew too much, pointing to his friend Tommy. The detectives were confident that Tommy knew something important that could help solve the case. Detectives played a recorded conversation in which Jack says he wants to kill Tommy. Tommy realizes that he is in danger and decides to cooperate with the police. He tells them that night they stopped in front of Britney's house and Jack decided to go inside to talk to her father about something. 5 minutes later, Jack returned to the car with Britney. Tommy claimed that Jack took him home and stayed with Britney. The next day, when they met again, Jack said nothing about what had happened. They stopped at a car wash where Jack thoroughly washed his car, both inside and out. Tommy explained that when he learned about the girl's disappearance, he realized that Jack might be involved in it and asked him directly what he did with the girl. Jack became very angry at this question and replied that he took her home and then drove away. The detectives realized that Jack was just the man they needed. During a search, blood was found in the car and a forensic examination determined that it was Britney's blood. The police confiscated the vacuum cleaner Jack was using from the car wash. Forensic experts found sand particles stuck together with blood inside the vacuum cleaner. The examination left no doubt that it was Britney's blood. During the investigation, it turned out that on the night of Britney's disappearance, one of the patrol officers saw Fuller's car. At that time, it was not yet known that Britney had disappeared. Jack told the officer he was looking for his dog, which had run into the woods. The search for the body was concentrated in the area where the officer saw Jack's car. While the police were trying to interrogate Jack and get him to confess, another witness came forward. A woman called the police and said she might know where he hid her body. This woman had a history of using illegal substances, and Jack once held her hostage for several months before she escaped. One day he showed her a place next to a power line and told her that it was a great place to bury her and that no one would ever find her body there. Authorities decided to conduct a search in the area, which the woman pointed out. This place was only 3 miles from the house where Britney lived. Experts compared the sand from the vacuum cleaner Fuller used at the car wash with the soil in the area and found a perfect match. Britney's grave was finally discovered on the morning of July 27, 2004, 15 days after she was reported missing. The naked body of a young girl was found in a hole, and a necklace with the name Britney hanging around her neck. Detectives immediately realized that they had finally found her. The medical examiner who performed the autopsy confirmed that it was Britney Gregory's body, but he was never able to determine the exact cause of her death. She was strangled and suffered a major head injury. There were no obvious signs of violence found on Britney's body. Jack Fuller decided to take a plea deal after consulting with his lawyer. Jack said Britney asked him to take her boyfriend to her house and he agreed, but not before he stopped on the side of the road and started smoking one of his illegal substances. This angered Britney and she started screaming at him and hit him on the arm. This infuriated the man and he began to beat the girl with his fists. Soon Fuller saw that Britney was not moving or breathing. Then he realized that she was dead and decided to get rid of the body. However, no one believed his story, because a forensic expert found signs of strangulation on Britney's body, which Fuller did not mention. In addition, he never explained why he removed all of Britney's clothes. An Ocean County grand jury indicted Fuller for murder on February 9, 2005. On January 13, 2006, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison without parole. A fair punishment for him? Take the life of a young girl and, after serving a prison sentence, find yourself free again? Write your opinion in the comments. Thank you for watching. I recommend watching other true crime stories. Click right now, and don't forget to activate the bell so you don't miss new stories. See you soon. Take care of yourself.